What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We got major problems going on here because of this war and even some mixed feelings here between a lot of different people here. Take a look at what is going on here. 300,000 Israeli reserve troops headed to possible land war in Gaza as Israel orders the evacuation of 1 million people in the area. The Hamas terrorist group, says don't evacuate. They don't want people to leave, which, is not really a good thing for innocent civilians in the area. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. Senate Republicans call on Biden to freeze the $6 billion transfer in Iranian funds. This is now coming back under scrutiny as Iran is under suspect of, did they fund the terrorist group Hamas? And even though the government and Anthony Blinken is saying that the $6 billion is still there in the account, did Iran help fund Hamas? And will Iran enter the war? Of course, Iran and Russia are allies. And did Iran help fund Hamas? Did Russia help fund Hamas? So we are seeing a lot of questions there. As this war escalates, we are seeing a lot of questions and a lot of people really concerned about what is going to happen here going forward. Even here in the U.S. cities bolster security ahead of expected Mid-East protests. People are concerned here, even in the U.S. If you see my recent video, I'll link it to that video here. We actually had a congressional report come out here that said, quote, this could happen here in the U.S., with multiple different congressmen, congresswomen saying it could happen here in the U.S. I'll link into that video. We had tens of thousands of people watch that video already, and it's trending on YouTube. I'll link you to that video here next. You really want to watch that video if you haven't seen that. In fact, multiple U.S. cities bolstering security. New York Police Department orders all on-duty officers to report in uniform Friday after former Hamas city calls for protests. Wow. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. And you got to remember here that this is what terrorist groups want. This is what Russia wants. This is what China wants. This is what Iran wants. This is what the enemy wants. They want chaos in the United States and for their enemies. They want their enemies to have this kind of chaos. This is kind of what they want, right? Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. And this was also here the stock market has been very shaky here as well. The NASDAQ down 1.28%, down 173 points as well. The stock market's been very shaky here as well. And of course, that's a little bit to be expected here in the short term when you have kind of, things like this. In the short term, that's a little bit to be expected. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. Remember that pretty much, your IRA, your 401k, those are long-term investments. You don't have to necessarily, this is short-term news for the most part. When you look at these type of things on the graph, when you look at, say, the S&P 500 here on a long-term graph here, going back, say, 30 years, 30 years ago or 40 years ago, this was, the S&P 500, the top 500 companies all kind of in one index. 30, 40 years ago, this is 40 years ago, actually, back to the 80s, the top 500 companies in one index, the S&P 500, was worth 189. And now, 40 years later, it's worth 4,327. So you can see the growth over time, how much it's worth, right? Even the growth of 5 years, 5 years ago, it was worth 2,781 S&P 500. Even the growth of 5 years now, it's worth 4,327. So even the growth of 5 years, I mean, what is that? That's like, I don't know, just eyeballing. That's like 40% or something like that just in 5 years. So you got to remember, you're going to see a lot of short-term dips. Even the drop here of the COVID drop, it dropped significantly pretty in the short term, but it still came back. You see a lot of short-term dips on all the news and stuff like that, but it tends to grow over time. You can't panic at every little dip along down the road. But you still need money for your bills, you need money for your electric, you need money for your rent. You know, this you have to have different buckets of money for your bills. The Kaiser Permanente strike reaches tentative agreement with the workers after their strike of 75,000 workers for their strike. And Kaiser Permanente and a coalition of unions representing more than 75,000 workers announced Friday they had reached a tentative agreement for a new contract. This would put an end to ongoing labor disputes over low wages and staffing shortages that culminated in a 3-day strike over multiple states that last week, the largest healthcare worker strike in U.S. history. Quote, healthcare workers and support staff kept our hospitals and our nation going during the dark months of the pandemic. They had our backs during one of the nation's toughest times. We must continue to have theirs, President Biden said. The union was asking for a $25 minimum wage as well as increases of 7% each year in the first 2 years and 6.25% each in the 2 years afterwards. The new deal would raise wages by 21% over the 4 years and would establish a minimum wage of $25 an hour in California and $23 an hour in other states. The auto workers have already been offered the UAW 21% over 4 years, and they have turned it down. Remember, they want a 46% increase and to go back to a 4-day work week, or to go to a 4-day work week, and they want pensions. They have turned down a 21% wage. In fact, I have a headline here that says the Auto Workers Union president who wore a shirt that says "Eat the Rich" is in the top 5% of all earners. The UAW president is racking in hundreds of thousands of dollars while his union striking members are only making $500 a week. This strike has been going on for quite a while and is looking it's getting pretty nasty out there. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. The average car payment is already $725 a month and is going to be going higher inevitably no matter what. Ford executives say take it or leave it as auto workers press for all-out strike. It's getting nasty out there, and this could go on for a while. So I'll keep you up to date here on everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. If you haven't yet, subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. Don't forget to like and share these videos. Click here to see Congress saying this could happen in America next. You got to watch this video if you haven't yet. Or click here to see the NATO nuclear exercise coming here. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.